Okay, so this is Danny Flexen for Seconds Out. Delighted to be joined by unbeaten heavyweight Jeremiah Milton. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, Danny. How about yourself?
I'm very good, thank you. You've obviously been brought to our attention because at the moment you're over here sparring one of our unbeaten heavyweights in Daniel Dubois, British and Commonwealth champion, ahead of what will be the biggest fight of his career against Joe Joyce. But let's talk a little bit about you before we get into that. And you've turned pro in the midst of a pandemic, but you're going to have at least 3 fights this year. What's your secret?
You know what? Hail Mary, say your prayers and just wish for the best. Stay in the gym, continue to work, be ready for all opportunities. Um, I got a good team around me, and luckily they're finding venues and places to keep me busy. Nobody expected this year to kind of go this way, but you just got to make the most out of it. And I feel like the back half of the year has really been opening up, and a lot of doors have been opening.
Tell us a little bit about your background in the sport and what made 2020 the right time for you at the age of 25, 26 to turn over as a professional?
Yeah. So I'm 26 years old now. I was training myself through my entire amateur career. Something that people don't know is I held a lot of different jobs. I was actually a school teacher for the last 2 years.
Wow.
So for me, being in Oklahoma, which is where I'm from in the U.S., I was pretty much it for boxing. And as far as boxing coaches go, there was nobody to really work with me there. I took it as far as I could, which was up to Olympic trials, just off of my gut and my heart. And then I decided, instead of waiting for that alternate position, because I placed as the alternate, I decided to go ahead and make that transition and move out and get a team around me in Vegas. And I've been nothing but blessed with working with world-class trainers now.
What did you teach?
I was a middle school PE teacher, so physical education. Yeah, I taught from as old as maybe 10 to 14 years old.
Oh, cool. And what team do you have around you now in Vegas? Just tell us the different members of that team and what they do.
So I'm working with Justin Gambert. He's Caleb Plant, Sweet Hands Plant head coach. So he's trained a world champion. I'm also working with Coach Larry Wade and his program, Paul Longworth, one of the guys under him. These guys have had Badu Jack. They train Caleb as well in strength conditioning. Luis Ortiz, they've worked with. They recently did the big fight with KSI. Being on a world-class stage, they're not new to it. Sean Porter, most importantly, to be, not to be missed. A guy I looked up to whenever I was first coming about for his just ruggedness. I feel like, with my team, I can finally start knocking down these doors.
Has it been a conscious decision on the part of yourself and your team to seek out top-level sparring as well? Because most people, you're in Vegas, it's kind of a hotbed of boxing anyway, would be comfortable staying where you are, getting the local sparring, but you've come all the way over here for this.
Yeah. I mean, so for me, it was very important that I stayed around the best. That's what I told my manager when I got with him. I wanted to see what it was like to be on world level. I'm very talented for being able to just do this in 3 years. I've only been boxing for 3 years. And it's a testament to, my grit and my determination to continue to show up to these camps and just learn and kind of see what's out there. So it's been a huge learning experience. Working with Joe the first time when I moved out to Vegas, or when I came out to Vegas, I was just like, man, this is what it feels like, to be a true heavyweight. And from there, it just randomly has been more and more top level guys. Yeah.
What stage were you at then when you first worked with him?
I was just coming out the amateur circuit, so I had just got done with my last amateur bout, and I had just signed maybe a week ago.
And whereabouts was that?
That was in Las Vegas. We were training at Solace's gym out that way.
And just before we go into the Dubois stuff, because that's obviously what's happening now, but what was that like? What are your recollections of those sessions?
Oh, yeah. They're very class, as you guys would say. They're really top guys. They took. I like his manager Sam, his team Cam, one of his strength conditioning coaches.
Cameron Goff.
A lot. Yeah, I took a lot from those guys. Just talking with them. My mate Johnny Fisher, got to work with him as well. And now I'm over here in London, so it's pretty awesome.
And what do you remember in terms of, because like you said, you just come from the amateurs, but you're Olympic alternate, so there was pedigree there. But he was an Olympic silver medalist. A lot of people felt it should have been gold. How did you feel you measured up during the sparring?
Oh yeah, I feel like I hold my own wherever I go. That's what gets me the nod to come back. It keeps me in the door. Of course, I'm greener in my experience level. I've had about 33 amateur fights. So a lot of learning on the job. But that's also been a credit to my team, like really sharpening me up, taking me on the pads, doing the work, doing the education. And for me, I've always just kind of moved fast anyway. Like, I don't really do anything slow. So, it's not a real big surprise that I've been able to continue to get out and get to the next level faster.
And Joe, of course, was someone who started in boxing quite late on in his life, similar to you. What was it that sparked your interest and made you decide at a latter stage that you wanted to try the sport?
For me, it was just always something that I was called back to do. When I was actually 15, my high school teacher gave me a pair of gloves, and we would have these Friday night fights out in my neighborhood. My mom, she hated them, because we do them underneath the lights, and it is a rough neighborhood. It's one of the hoods, one of the projects of America. So not really ideal place to be out there fighting with people, but I was like 14, 15, taking out grown men. And, I thought I could really do it. And so after about 3 years of university, I decided that instead of continuing to play American football, I would pursue a career in fighting. Started out as MMA. I had 8 council fights because I was also a high school wrestler. That didn't work out like I needed to. And then I just said, okay, I'm going to shift the gear and go to boxing towards the year that Olympic year, Joyce's Olympic year, 2016. Yeah. It was on the TV. I was watching the American representative at the time, and I felt like, with a lot of hard work and training, I could make it to that level. And so, at the end of that, I decided, let's go ahead and get back into the game.
So you're one of those really annoying people who's just good at everything, good at every sport, natural athlete.
Yeah, a lot of people, they don't understand it. They kind of, they're like, oh man. But, I think it's all about just being coachable and being open to learn. So for me, I never feel like, you should never feel like you know it all. You know what I'm saying? So be open. Some of the coaches at Peacock today took me on the pads, and I took some things from that. And I was very grateful for that.
What was your university qualification in?
Actually, I was going to be international business at first, and then I switched that major to environmental safety. This year, I was planning to go back and finish along with, my boxing. So to spark my professional career, keep the fights going. In amateurs, you kind of stuck to the circuit. You have to go to tournament to tournament to tournament. So no money in that neither. So there was no time for me to get back into university. But hopefully soon I'll go ahead and finish that degree because I know that'll make my mom real proud as well. But boxing is definitely my focus, and it's where my heart is.
And did you play football in college?
Yeah, I did. I played defensive end, outside linebacker. I was a bigger boy, actually. I was around 245, 260.
Yeah, I was going to say, because you're only about 225 now, aren't you?
Yeah, I range from 225, 230. I feel good at this weight. It's a different sport. But it all just depends on kind of how we see things going forward. I can get the weight back on me, I'm sure. But for me, the thing that helped me become a better boxer was dedicating my time to the craft. So it took away from the accessory things I would do on my own back then, which would probably be lift and stuff. But dedicated to the craft, and I still got enough strength and pop to handle my own.
Obviously, with Joe, you guys were both based in Vegas at the same time, so that was a natural, organic meeting, if you like. What brought you over to spar Daniel this time? Did they seek you out? Were you looking for sparring? How did that work?
Yeah, to my surprise, Martin had, reached out and he knew about me. They sought me out. I've been watching Daniel for, some time now because he's been gone. Uh, and for me, it was actually a childhood dream of mine. Before I ever even thought about lacing up a pair of gloves and um, putting these skills to test, like I always imagined myself coming over here for boxing. And so now it's kind of an affirmation to have my first trip to London for boxing. It's a beautiful thing. Opportunity like this you can't really pass up on, especially training with world class, somebody who's at that level in a team, and you get to see how they do things. So yeah. They sought after me though, and yeah, I'm thankful for the opportunity.
And how long in total will you be spending here? And how often are you guys sparring? Is it every other day? Is it every day? What's the situation?
Yeah. So we're sparring roughly about 3 times a week. I'll only be here until the 18th. I'm actually coming off of my fight. I fought 3 nights ago, and then immediately got on the plane to come here. Got jet lagged. That was rough. Had my first spar. That felt great, and then had another spar today, and that felt better. But yeah, we'll be sparring roughly about 3 times a week, I'd say, and I'll be here to the 18th.
And just tell us, as someone who sparred both Daniel and Joe previously, what are the different challenges those guys bring when you're in the ring with them?
Look, I'll say it like this, man. I'm very excited to be in this position and to watch this fight. I think this is going to be another British classic. I honestly believe it's going to be one of those fights. They both are just very physically strong people. Now, when I seen Daniel, um, you know, I've been in the ring with some really massive guys, yeah, and so I didn't think he was just that big. I was like, okay, he's not too big, but the kid is very strong. Um, you know, world class jab, world class athlete for sure. Definitely, rightfully ranked where he's at. And Joe is very, very, very strong himself. Very underrated sometimes by the people, but until you share the ring with him, you know. So I think with this, it's going to be a classic smash, as you would say. I guess like it's just going to be one of those. It's very hard to kind of tell which way it leans.
Did you find Joe's work rate, the amount of punches he throws, surprising for such a big man?
Oh yes, most definitely. Because he can go to work and then recover in an instant. So you got to be on your toes. You got to be quick. You really just gotta be able to withstand the fury and then find your spots in between. Hopefully, but easier said than done. But yeah, the man can work. A lot of people don't credit his ability in the ring. They say things like he's slow and stuff like that. And I'm a very fast heavyweight. I don't believe the man is slow. You get in the ring with him, the ring gets small really quick. Yeah. So you gotta be on point when a guy like Joe.
And this might be a more difficult one to answer, but I have to ask it. Who hits harder from your experience?
Oh man. Whew. I don't know. Daniel got some dynamite. Yeah, the kid is definitely rightfully named. Um, they're very close on physicality. I mean, Joe throws some pretty wicked body shots. Daniel has a jab that will take you out of position. If you're not, you gotta be strong in there with both men. You really gotta be physically strong. So it is very close. I would probably give the edge of power to Daniel because he kind of looks for that one shot a little bit more, in my opinion. Um, Joe has volume, and it's just like boom, boom, boom. It's just thudding, very thudding.
I thought you might try and swerve the question and just say you didn't take any shots.
Still looking pretty though. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Say, oh, my head movement's exquisite. I didn't take a single blow from either of them, so I can't answer.
Look, just play the interview after the fight. Let me get out of here first.
Yeah, well, exactly. Well, I'm not going to ask you to pick a winner because it would put you in an uncomfortable situation. But what I will say is, how do you expect the fight to play out in terms of the two styles meshing together? What sort of fight do you expect?
Um, Both men like to come forward. Um, so it'll be interesting to see who puts who on the back foot first. That might be a bit of a tell. Um, but I would say Joe working with Solis now, he has a lot of deceptive little slippery movement. Um, Very awkward style. I don't know who you really find to emulate that with the power as well. And then Daniel, he is so good at the basics. Um, I think it could. I think it'll be interesting just to see how they do mesh because both of them physically different specimens. Both of them very well-rounded boxers. That's another hard one to call.
Fair enough. Well, really appreciate your time. I hope when you get back, I know you've got another fight scheduled for next month, so I hope that goes well. And if you're over here again, hopefully we get to speak to you face to face once the restrictions have been lifted.
Yeah, that'd be lovely, man. We're looking forward to it.
Great stuff. Well, great to meet you over this platform anyway, and see you soon, hopefully.
All right, pleasure, brother. Take
Take
care.
care. All right, bye bye.